Let's dive into an impressive area that stretches over more than 22 million acres. A lush green space with dimensions equivalent to twice the size of Switzerland. Within this vast domain lives the Moxie-Hatatima tribe, one of the 3 Yanomami subdivisions inhabiting a reserve composed of dense tropical forests and mountain ranges, located between northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. This indigenous group is particularly recognized for its strong resistance to outside contact, choosing to remain distant not only from outsiders but also from other indigenous communities sharing the same region. Such a choice of isolation has generated worldwide interest, especially after 2011, when their presence was accidentally rediscovered during a monitoring flight in the Amazon, with images revealing signs of their existence. Imagine the routine in this isolated refuge, immersed in the wild nature, where its inhabitants have decided to avoid contact both with the outside world and with neighboring tribes. This determination reflects a culture deeply anchored in preserving their way of life and controlling their territory. The Moxie-Hatatima tribe is established in a remote part of the Amazon, where the dense forest canopy acts as a natural shield, protecting them from imported illnesses such as malaria. The remote nature of their settlements makes them virtually invisible from above, a perfect camouflage that reduces exposure to various external threats. Although they maintain a peaceful reputation, health and anthropology professionals agree that isolation is the best path for the tribe. Contact with the outside world would be too risky due to the possible introduction of diseases for which they have no immunity. Although formally protected by Brazilian laws, the tribe's lands are under increasing pressure due to the presence of thousands of illegal miners, over 5,000 according to estimates. Besides compromising the environment, this invasion poses a serious risk of spreading lethal diseases among the indigenous people. In an attempt to raise public awareness about the delicate situation, some rare images of the tribe's dwellings have been released. Organizations like Survival International use these records to highlight the threats resulting from illegal mining, seeking to mobilize the international community in defense of these invisible peoples. The social and family life of the Moxie-Hatatima is organized in large communal structures known as malocas, circular buildings divided into sections, each designated for a family unit. There, each family hangs their nets, stores provisions, and maintains fires for cooking and warmth. In 2016, new thatched roofs were observed, possibly indicating demographic growth within the tribe. Sharing this common space presents challenges, especially in the face of external pressures they encounter. Conflicts with miners have already occurred, such as the tragic Haximu massacre in 1993, in which 16 Yanomami were killed. Protecting these territories not only ensures the safety of indigenous communities, but is also considered a globally effective strategy against deforestation and carbon emissions. Interestingly, the Moxie-Hatatima maintain a lifestyle free of industrial products. Observations suggest the absence of metal or industrial artifacts, such as aluminum pots, machetes, or elaborate fabrics, highlighting their strong commitment to tradition and sustainability. In the Brazilian Amazon area, about 22,000 Yanomami live in different communities, some, like the Moxie-Hatatima, deeply isolated and without any contact with the external world. The Yanomami indigenous territory received official recognition from the Brazilian government in 1992, just months before the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro. Before the creation of this reserve, many Yanomami suffered invasions, falling victim to violence and diseases introduced by outsiders, such as the flu and measles. The demarcation of the territory contributed to improving the situation, allowing investments in conservation initiatives that helped recover these communities. Despite this, new challenges arise, such as water contamination by mercury used in illegal gold mining. This heavy metal accumulates in fish, threatening the health and way of life of the Yanomami, who rely on these natural resources to survive. The Moxie-Hatatima, an isolated Yanomami group, were recently seen during a surveillance overflight, reacting aggressively and raising spears against the airplane, a response similar to previous encounters with other tribes in the region. It is believed that this group is descended from the Yoro Ami, speakers of the Yanomami language, who have occupied the area between Mukaji-Katrimani, near the sources of the Apuai River, since the 1920s. The region, surrounded by mines, keeps them under constant risk. The first documented encounter with the Yoro Ami occurred in 1932, when explorers found a large gathering. Currently, in addition to environmental threats, the Moxie Hatatima and other Yanomami face health risks brought by miners, including diseases like malaria and measles, raising concerns about possible epidemics. Throughout the 1920s, internal tensions led Yaroami groups to migrate to new riverside areas. Part of these people, previously settled in Arapari, moved to the Ajarani River Basin. Their external interactions were marked by significant events, such as the measles epidemic in 1968, and the construction in 1973 of a section of the North Perimeter Highway, which crossed their territory. The Yanomami, including the Yaroami, possess a diverse culture, divided into at least 6 subgroups that share common linguistic roots. They master a vast range of botanical knowledge, using about 500 plant species not only for food, but also to build and maintain their homes. Their daily activities include hunting, gathering, fishing, as well as cultivating cassava and bananas in clearings within the forest. Shamans, fundamental spiritual figures, use the smoke of yakuwana, a plant with hallucinogenic properties, to reach altered states of consciousness, which, according to their belief, allow them to contact the spiritual plane. The Moxie Hatatama tribe has a unique custom related to the use of the foreskin, tied to the waist with 2 cords called hatat. This practice contrasts with that of the Yanomami, who use only a single cotton thread to secure the foreskin. In the late 1980s, the Moxie Hatatama tribe faced a massive invasion of miners, forcing them to move northeast, abandoning their original lands. Between 1987 and 1990, their territory was invaded by hundreds of miners equipped with heavy machinery and with aircraft continuously flying overhead. In 1990, the situation deteriorated to the point of an armed confrontation between miners and the tribe, generating rumors about a possible extinction of the Moxie Hatatama. This turbulent period was marked not only by violence, but also by the spread of diseases, exacerbated by forced contact, endangering the survival of this people. After being forgotten for a long time, the Moxie Hatatama people were rediscovered in 2011 when a Funai overflight identified their new residents. During that period, cuts in government funding aimed at protecting indigenous areas led to the closure of monitoring posts, which were eventually taken over by miners, serving as logistical support for their illegal operations. In 2019, a new milestone emerged when Funai announced the reactivation of protection bases in the Yanomami territory, encompassing the surveillance of the Mukaji Current Area and the Korkor Ma Zone. This initiative promised stricter monitoring near significant agricultural areas, especially banana plantations covering approximately 20 hectares. The unique architectural style of the Yaro Ami people, recorded in these regions, suggests it was shaped during the first contacts with non-indigenous people, sometime between the 1950s and 1970s, reflecting a fusion of emerging influences and requirements. The isolated community of Serra de Estrutura maintains a traditional way of life, with dwellings featuring 17 sloped roofs. It is estimated that their total population does not exceed 100 individuals. They rely on self-sufficiency, producing their own tools, such as stone axes, used for cutting down trees and building homes. Even when faced with contemporary tools, such as wooden-handled axes or machetes, they choose not to adopt them, preserving ancestral techniques. In November 2021, a tragic incident occurred. An attack by miners resulted in the death of 2 members of the Moxie Hatatima tribe. The clash began when indigenous warriors attempted to expel invaders from a nearby mine, aiming to safeguard their lands. Recently, another violent confrontation between miners and the Moxie Hatatima tribe led to a fatal clash of arrows against bullets. In this incident, 3 miners were hit by arrows, prompting them to retaliate with firearms, killing 2 indigenous people. This shocking event was not ignored, as a young native from the Alto Mujikai area witnessed the scene and recovered a used arrow, now kept in Apuai. The regional situation is severe, evidenced by satellite images revealing the destruction of over 100 hectares of forest due to illicit activities. Since 2019, there have been reports of shootings against the Moxie Hatatima, who try to defend their crops and territories using bows and arrows. In recent years, the increase in violence has caused 4 deaths among the indigenous people, about 5% of the total population. There are fears that, in response, the tribe may plan retaliations against the invaders, seeking reparation for the losses suffered. A transformative figure has emerged among the Yanomami, taking on the presidency of the Yanomami Hatakora Association. Known as the Dalai Lama of the forest, he has become a crucial spokesperson in protecting his territory, standing out for his tireless dedication to conservation. Experts highlight the value of protecting such communities, recognizing in them extensive ancestral knowledge acquired over millennia, making them indispensable partners in defending the forests and containing deforestation. Renowned researcher Francesca Fiacco challenges the idea that these tribes are remnants of a remote past. On the contrary, she considers them contemporary societies, dynamic and valuable agents in today's human diversity. The director of an organization dedicated to supporting these peoples emphasizes that they form complex societies perfectly adapted to thrive, regardless of external views of progress or development. Experts agree that the most effective strategy to support indigenous communities is to respect their autonomy and ensure the protection of their rights and territories, as isolated tribes like the Moxie Hatatima have already demonstrated their ability to live entirely without depending on the outside world. The presence of these tribes is fundamental to the maintenance of the Amazon. If peoples like the Moxie Hatatima were to disappear, the forest would be exposed to severe risks, including deforestation, illegal timber extraction, and uncontrolled mining, seriously threatening its future. Have you ever heard of this intriguing Brazilian tribe? What caught your attention about them? See you later. Goodbye.